I don't know why I didn't think about this years ago. Smoking green beans wrapped up in the pork ribs. I mean, it's so obvious. Green beans and pork go well together. There's steaming stuff happening anyway. You guys have got to try this simple process. If you're smoking ribs already, this is for you. Fresh green beans go to a whole new porky flavor. Plus, it saves you so much time and effort. This is seriously a keeper. You guys go check out the recipe. I'm gonna go serve up the family. All right, so let's start with the ribs. I've got some baby back ribs here.
I want my baby back ribs.
And I found that these actually work best for this recipe because we're gonna be steaming the green beans. What you'll actually need to use is some heavy duty foil, not butcher paper for this recipe. This works best. I've tested it both ways. The green beans really cook down the best and hold in all of that moisture the best. So because of that, baby back ribs are a little bit meatier. They tend to braise or steam a little bit better in that foil. We're gonna be using a little bit loose version of a 3-2-1. I don't want fall off the bone ribs where you can slide the bones out, but we are gonna be cooking those green beans for a little while in the foil. So let's go ahead and get the ribs started. Now, as you can see, I said these are baby back ribs.
Chili baby back ribs.
So these do have the membrane taken off. I actually got these racks at Costco and they come like that. I do recommend, if you have the membrane on, take it off for this recipe. Now, if you want to use a binder on the ribs, it's totally fine. It's not necessary, but I'm gonna go ahead and just season it with one of my favorite rubs. This is Sedona Sand. This happens to be my kids' favorite rub on pork ribs too, so they're gonna be eating this, so I gotta make it taste good. So we'll season both sides pretty generously with this. And then while this is being seasoned and I'm gonna rub this down, the smoker is currently set to 250 degrees, and I'm gonna keep it that way the whole cook. And I like that temperature because you're still gonna get great color and smoke flavor, but it's not too high to where it's gonna overcook those green beans and make them mush. So that's really important too. So 250 is what I like. I am using a pellet smoker. I'm using my Yoder today, but you can use any grill or smoker as long as you have good indirect heat. Okay, we are good to go for this first rack. So I've got two more that I'm gonna go ahead and season up. I'll get these on the smoker and then we can come back and talk about those beans. All right, so I've got the smoker going at 250. Let's get these ribs in here. And then like I said, we're gonna let these smoke for about 3 hours. And you can kind of tell it might be a little sooner depending on how thick your ribs are and everything like that, but we'll walk through it together. But plan on 3 hours, always plan for worst case. And after we close the lid here, we'll go get the green beans kind of prepped. So we're good to go, nighty night. All right, let's get the green beans ready. I highly recommend doing this ahead of time because that 2.5, 3 hours, it creeps up on you fast and suddenly you need green beans. So you're gonna want fresh green beans. Recommend that you trim off the ends if possible, which it is possible, and then you wash them, and then I've got 3 pounds here, I've got 3 racks of ribs, and that's usually about how many that I do. You could probably shove more in the pack, but we'll see. Anyway, we are going to blanch them. So I've tested unblanched and blanched. What that means is dunking them in some salted boiling water for just about a minute, maybe 2. It really infuses the green beans with that nice salt flavor, partially cooks them so they're a little bit more tender in the end as well. So let's go do that. All right, so get your water boiling. You're gonna need quite a bit if you're like me and I'm cooking 3 pounds. And then I'll go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of salt, just like you're gonna be salting pasta. You want it to be like you're tasting the ocean. I always hate that phrase. Okay, so once you've got the water rapidly boiling like this, carefully drop the green beans in. I don't want to pour in the bowl. It'll totally splash up on me. And we are going to let these cook at that high temperature for a little over a minute. Here, now I can start to pour in the rest. Make sure you keep the temperature high because once you drop in those green beans, especially if they're cold, it can drop the temperature of the water, but it doesn't need to be rapidly boiling for them to cook. Okay, the color's getting brighter. These are almost done. Let it go another minute because I've got so many green beans in here. All right, it's been about 2 minutes here. I wanted to go a little longer since I've got so many green beans. I'm gonna kill the heat and get these into a bowl. And normally, if I were gonna serve blanched green beans like at a dinner, I'd probably put them in ice water to keep the color, stop them from overcooking, but we're gonna cook the heck out of them with those pork ribs, so it doesn't really matter. All right, the green beans are out. They're still warm. They've been blanched, so we're just gonna let these hang out for a little bit. Nothing else to do, which is nice, except if you're like me and you really like garlic, I'm gonna be adding garlic into the green beans. So I happen to just grab 6 cloves and peel them. There's no rule on how many that you want. I am using 2 cloves per pound. So wait, that's 6, 3 pounds. Yep, okay, I am correct. And you can smash them if you want to. You can grate them. If you don't have fresh garlic, you can use garlic powder. I do recommend adding extra garlic. It just makes it better. Pork, garlic, beans. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish slicing these, and we'll check on those ribs in about an hour and a half. All right, it's been almost 3 hours. Ooh, these are looking good. I like how the bark feels. It's nice and firm. The rub's not coming off. I didn't even have to spritz these or anything. You really don't with pork. Plus, we're gonna be wrapping them anyway, so gotta click those tongs. I'm gonna go ahead and get these guys off the grill, and we'll take them inside. I'll meet you there. All right, I've got the rack of ribs inside, and they're pretty hot. You can see it's got great bark. I just love the smell of ribs right now. So this is what's most important, is this curve right here. So we're gonna put the ribs face down and start to create a little bit of a boat. Ultimately, what we're gonna do is fold twice like this, and then the meat side will be down. So now that I've got the ribs down, let me grab the beans. Okay, I'm gonna put 1/3 of these beans, which is roughly a pound of the beans, because I cooked 3 pounds. Okay, we're gonna put that on here. I'm gonna do a few more, because I've got quite a few. We're gonna do a little bit of this garlic, just get that sprinkled on in here. Now don't worry, because it's not gonna be as strong as you think. Everything's gonna cook for a long period of time, so it's not gonna be as potent. And then we're gonna, of course, put a few pads of butter in here as well. And what this will do is the butter and the pork will create this amazing juice, and you'll see at the end. So here's what we're gonna do. We'll wrap this up this way first, and I'm gonna fold up the sides, making sure to take care that the bones don't poke through, because you don't wanna lose any of this juice. So kind of fold the sides over those bones a little bit. Stay in there. Okay. And then, of course, wrap on the top. Push it together to get rid of any of the air, and then we're gonna repeat this for the other racks of ribs. So a couple things just to make sure, biggest tips for success, make sure you've got meat side down, green beans and butter on the top. The seam that we folded over is on the top, and if you don't think it's tight enough, just go ahead and put another sheet of foil over it. And the last thing is, don't let any of the bones poke through the sides. If that's happened again, just put another sheet of foil. It's no problem. So we're gonna go ahead. I will wrap up the rest. We'll get these meat side down in the smoker for 90 minutes, still at 250. Let's go. Okay, let's get these back in here. Again, seam side up, meat side down. These are gonna cook for another 90 minutes. And then we'll check and just make sure that the green beans are done enough, and we'll see you soon. All right, it's time, and we're getting in a little close so that you guys can see. Oh, these look super tender, exactly how we want them. So now what we want to do is reconstitute the bark. Okay, so what you'll want to do is carefully flip this so the green beans are underneath. And then we can kind of reconstitute the bark a little bit. Do a little flippy here too. There we go. Did not poke holes through the bottom, that's the key. So if you are cooking these and you notice the ribs are pretty tender and you flip and you get a little bald spot, this is the time to just build that bark back up. It's not a big deal. I only have one little spot right here where it kind of stuck. Otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and push this back in, and we're gonna cook this for about another 45 minutes or so just to build that bark back up, and then we're good to go. All right, these are done. These look good. Look at them beans. Oh yeah, those are gonna be good. All right, I'm sorry, I'm a little too excited. Let's get these inside. We'll rest them a minute and then I'll slice them up. Okay, we've got the ribs in here. I've rested them about 20 minutes or so. I am actually gonna lift up this rack very carefully so you guys can see the beans. Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about right there. So let me get some tongs. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna take all of these delicious beans and I'm gonna put this on this platter next to me. Here we go. Gotta get all that juice too. Look at that. Buttery, porky, garlicky green beans. Oh my gosh, this is like where it's at right now. We're not even done. We'll get these sliced and plated as well. Now while I'm cutting these, one question you might have is, do the ribs taste like green beans? Because obviously the green beans taste like ribs, and I can tell you that they don't. They have a little bit of that garlic flavor profile, but they don't have that bitter, earthy flavor profile from the green beans. So you're in luck. That way, if your kid hates green beans but loves ribs, it's okay. Almost forgot the bite shot or the side profile. That way you guys can see the color. This is my Sedona sand rub. Got some nice smoke. Like I said, 250 for about 3 hours. Then we wrapped them for about 90 minutes and let them roll for about another 45 or so. Always my favorite part. You gotta taste it. My editor's just sitting here watching me crush all these ribs. He's probably so pissed off right now. All right, I've got a little platter going here. Yeah, right, little. I'm gonna hit the green beans up with some extra black pepper because that's what I like. And then, I mean, you've got a feast. You've got 3 pounds of green beans, 3 racks of pork. Actually, I only plated about 2 on here because I got a platter. It's not quite big enough, but you get the idea. All right, enough gawking. I'm gonna go ahead and try. We've got these porky, buttery green beans. Oh my God. They're so good. The camera's not gonna do it justice, but these are so incredibly tender. It's just unbelievable. And you can see from the blanching, the green beans are still pretty bright green. And then they're adequately seasoned throughout. So nice and tender, salty and flavorful throughout. Plus you've got all the delicious pork juice and the butter and the garlic. Let me know if you guys try out this process. I hope that you guys are as excited as I am because these green beans are so good and I can't wait to dig in. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers.